My name's Will. I lead the chapter practice at OVO Energy. So I guess chapters, first of all, what are they? I think they are, in essence, an evolutionary concept, bringing together continuous improvement with the mindset and the thinking and the practices of Agile. So really kind of nice fusion of those two ways of working. OVO Energy are now one of the largest energy suppliers within the UK. Started out in 2009. We've now grown to our customer base to nearly 5.5 million, and have acquired some big players in the industry along the way, such as Spark and SSE more recently. We pride ourselves very much on our drive towards zero carbon living for us as well as our customer base, so we've got a lot of work to do in that space. And the way we like to work is as if the customer were in the room when we're making our decisions. Completed several marathons. I've done a couple of ultra marathons now, so I've gone up to 62 miles or 100k, depending on whether you're metric or imperial. And I'm now starting my journey towards an Ironman triathlon, so the kind of long distance triathlons, which I'll be doing later this year. What's next? I'm not sure. Who knows? But I'm one for pushing myself in those kind of distances. I like the balance between physical kind of prowess and that mental strength that's required. Something that really drives me. I really enjoy it. I was first introduced back in British Gas. So I worked at British Gas way back when I started there 2009. I moved into at the time it was process improvement role around 2012. So I've been in this game now for nearly 10 years. Feels like it's been a lot less than that. It's gone really fast. I think back then, the organisation was very much at the beginning of that journey. And I think the organisation service providers have gone on a real journey towards getting to the same level of maturity as the manufacturing industry has with its own journey towards Lean Six Sigma and continuous improvement. So we've come a long way. But back then, it was very much process improvement, focusing on understanding very small processes and just making those basic changes through the DMAIC cycle. So how we work within OVO in terms of how we deliver our service to customers, we've split out in that very much in that agile way of working. So we're transitioning to that at the moment. So teams are becoming squads, and that's squad life. We are very much calling the hashtag in that space, but squad life very much requires the entire every member of that squad to come together and play a really key role in not only delivering the right outcomes for customers. So we're still doing the same thing we've always been doing, but we weave in the kind of principles and ways of working that we want to embed within Agile and continuous improvement to make their jobs better. So where we come in from a CI/chapter perspective is we've created an operating rhythm whereby squads come together at key points during their day, week and month to understand customer pain points, to understand their own pain points as well. So we're very much marrying up the voice of the customer, the voice of the process, and that voice of the employee, which is probably the most important in the two, because it brings it all together with more context. So we're understanding all of that pain and understanding the opportunities to get better. But we're also providing the workforce with the tools to be able to answer some of those questions and to be able to improve some of those ways of working themselves to a degree. And then we've also created a mechanism to identify where the simple becomes complex, and we need to bring that into my space, into the chapter practice, where we can start looking at it with a slightly broader and more complex tool set, where it may require some deeper root cause analysis. We may require other people from the wider organisation to understand and articulate the problem and build out a solution, whether it be technical or not. The practices are very agile in terms of bringing people together more regularly, in terms of creating a better, lighter, more standardized agenda and clearer roles and responsibilities for everyone. You've all got a clear role to play within that structure. and then we're weaving in continuous improvement into that as well. So we'll give you the tools to make your own ways of working better. So it's a real benefit from an engagement perspective as well, because people are involved in making their own jobs better. So providing real purpose behind what people do. People can see, they can draw that line between what they're doing and the strategy that we're building within OVO. But they can also look at what they're doing here and now and the work that they're putting in and the effort they're putting in. They can draw the line to the changes that get implemented. It's like, you said this, so we've taken that away and we've done something else. And they think, oh, I've played a big role in that. So it's really powerful. Oh, it's phenomenal. I think for me, that's the biggest. It's probably the biggest bit that's overlooked when we look at continuous improvement, is how do we leverage the people in order to bring this to life. So if you can provide people with the tools, you get a much broader bandwidth for delivering change. But also, if you can connect people on that level as well and unify everyone under that kind of common goal, a common purpose, it is that what you get done is phenomenal. You really do. And you kind of give people that environment to be more comfortable with failure and more comfortable with trying new things. It's a real great environment for getting things done. I love it. It's great. You can tell I really like it, but it's a really nice time to be part of the business. We're doing something really special. It's a real point of debate amongst many of the professionals in continuous improvement that I know and I work with and I have connections with more broadly. It's always that, and for me, the answer is fairly straightforward. I think we can't step away from the fact that we need technology to improve some of the fundamentals, and I think where we can automate, I think we should, and we should where it makes sense. But I always talk about, when we look at technologies and we look at automating certain ways of working, I've yet to see a process that's fully automated and that doesn't have other processes or ways of working that underpin it as foundationally. So there's a real need where we automate and where we bring out new technologies or new systems and platforms to do better jobs for us. We absolutely need to accept that there are a significant number then of processes and people and effort that needs to go in and underpin that and make it a success. I've seen so many transformational technical projects fail because they failed to understand the processes that feed into it and the processes that plug into it and the information that flows in. And it's all about flow. And if we don't understand the flow of information from where it comes from into the system or the automated process that we're creating, it tends to fall down quite quickly. And that kind of comes back to my point around people. That's where we need to understand how we bring the best out of people in order to make technology and automation more successful, because they go hand in hand. We don't build in the right processes and people and thinking. There is no point in building out new technology because it will not work. You cannot automate in isolation. It's something that I'm really passionate about, because a lot of people talk about automation as just being, let's just automate everything and reduce the amount of resource spent. Well, no, absolutely not. It's really about making sure that we're getting the best out of the people, and then if you can create leaner and better ways of working, then the automation by default will work better. It will always work better if we have more simple processes plugging into it. Every single either mentor or coach or trainer or anyone that I've ever worked with that I've looked towards for support and guidance, they've always said broadly the same thing. It's if it can't be measured, it can't be improved, and it's stuck with me. And it's a basic term, but it is absolutely fundamental. If we don't understand the fundamental nature of problems, whether that be kind of system generated, people, process, workflow, whatever it may look like, we can't understand that and measure it and see where the problem is, see where the problem's coming from, but also understand whether we're making an impact, then we won't get anywhere. But it was a weird one. I was thinking maybe something a little bit more philosophical and stuck, but I guess that's maybe philosophical enough. It's a really powerful thing, but again, it's getting the basics right. Having no data is not an excuse. It's certainly not true either. You can go and find it, And if you don't have any, when you go to the Gemba, you will find it, and you'll find it quite quickly. And you'll find, and whether that's anecdotal data, so whether that's kind of qualitative, and you're getting that verbatim kind of, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z, or whether it's numbers based and you're able to actually see and feel, like, from a performance perspective, what impact these ways of working, or these new ways of working are having. It is relatively straightforward. You can go and find it. Every organisation has that challenge. I mean, we're no different. We've got so much data. It's kind of hard to know what to do with it, if anything, and what to make of it. But I think, again, it goes going back to what I've always said, getting back to basics. If you go and see and feel and kind of hear what the process is doing, you go to the Gemba. That's a great starting point in terms of generating some interesting data. And it's normally the best source of it as well. For me, again, I'll hark back to the Gemba. I go straight to the Gemba. So I really want I need to understand where the work happens. I need to understand the process. And I want to see it. I want to hear it. I almost want to feel it tangibly. I want to sit there and absorb what is happening. And the thing I'll look for there is how are customers being managed? So how are we interacting with customers? What are we telling them? How do we manage that conversation? How are we providing the right outcomes? And where we can't provide the right outcomes, what are we then doing? So what journey is the customer going on? And if the workforce can't provide the right outcome for customers, how are we involving them, the workforce themselves, in helping us to understand that problem and articulate it, and then begin to build out an understanding of how we can evolve and make and create better working practices. If an organisation isn't doing that, or if they're not on the pathway towards doing that, then that's where my first focus goes to. It's always, I ask myself the question, do we understand how our customers are feeling, but also do we understand how our employees are feeling as well? And do we understand how our people feel when they can't provide those outcomes? And are we leveraging their knowledge? They know a lot more than we do about, I say it's not an us and them thing, but they know a lot more than I will about their day-to-day processes. So there's no point me going in and flow charting until I speak to one of them or all of them and try and understand, how is this working in practice? What does it look like for you? Show me, let me see. But without bias, I would fully encourage anyone that is interested in seeing their effort go towards transforming the way a business operates. Then you simply need to touch on continuous improvement. And also, I'd always push back on, if someone was looking at, do I get into CI or do I not? My response would be, the organisation that you're working within should be getting into CI. And if they're not, again, you ask the question why, and you look at trying to influence them towards building that into the way in which they work. For me, it's all about getting the basics right. So I'd always advise anyone getting into the start of this, of their journey within business improvement, get the basics right. Follow the steps. Focus your energy on understanding the problem and articulating the impact that it has. If you don't have that, don't get kind of sucked into quick wins. Don't get influenced by the big stakeholders and the big project sponsors that you're no doubt going to be working with, because they'll be throwing all sorts of solutions at you and that have already come in with an idea of how they can solve the problem. Take the time, understand it, and like I said, follow the steps. And you just need to create an environment and create a safe space for you in order to follow those steps. And I think, secondly as well, I think it's all, like I said, it is all about people, and not just people that work within business improvement. It's about the people that form part of the value stream, people that deliver the outcomes for customers. So I would really advise anyone to focus their activity on empowering the workforce. So, because that's where you get your greatest source of opportunities. So we understand more when we work with our people, but also I think we get better results in terms of how we embed lasting change that sustains and then continues to self-sustain. It's by leveraging the people at a really early point, and not just project sponsors, but the people that are involved in the day-to-day running of your process if you're looking at a process. It's all about the people.